Have you ever been seized by that peculiar, almost primal awareness? A deep, persistent intuition that there is an intelligence far greater than your own operating just beneath the surface of your everyday life. This is not merely a fleeting emotional reaction or a trick of the mind. It is the fundamental signature of your spiritual companion, your mentor, striving to bridge the chasm between their realm of pure thought and your world of physical density. We are speaking of the protective spirit, the guardian angel. Concepts that, through the methodical study initiated by Allan Kardec, shed their mythical veil and emerge as profound, active realities. This guide is a soul, often one who has progressed far ahead of you, taking on the sacred mission of facilitating your intellectual and, critically, your moral evolution. Their purpose is not to perform miracles or solve your mundane problems. Their commitment is to whisper the truth into the ear of your soul, ensuring you remain aligned with the universal moral law. However, their language is subtle, expressed not in loud pronouncements but in the delicate, almost imperceptible manipulation of universal fluids and the sympathetic vibration of your own thoughts. To truly comprehend this communication, one must first recognize the fundamental reality of the spirit, the perispirit, that semi-material envelope linking the spirit to the body, and the profound impact that thought, which is energy, has on both the physical and spiritual environment. The ensuing narrative will not merely describe the signs of your mentor's call, but will delve into the very mechanics of this communication, using the detailed philosophical and scientific insights left to us by the spirits through the work of Allan Kardec, proving that this connection is not a matter of blind faith, but of universal, demonstrable law. If you feel that persistent inner tug, understand that it is your own spirit, responding to the benevolent mental suggestion of a higher consciousness, signifying that your time for profound, accelerated progress has arrived. It is a profound invitation to step out of the shadows of spiritual ignorance and embrace the luminous truth of your eternal existence. This first and often most misinterpreted signal of your mentor's presence manifests as a pervasive and relentless inner disquiet, a feeling easily dismissed as generalized anxiety, chronic fatigue, or the natural stress that permeates modern existence. Yet this internal friction is qualitatively different. It is a profound, non-physical agitation. You may be enjoying a moment of quiet solitude, a period where logically you should feel relaxed, only to be struck by a sudden, chilling sense of unease, a feeling that something of critical importance has been misplaced or forgotten. This is not worldly forgetfulness, but a form of existential disorientation, a fog in the mind that makes concentration difficult and focus elusive. Spiritism, as codified by Kardec, offers a powerful explanation for this phenomenon, viewing the agitation not as a pathology, but as a mechanism of spiritual alert. When your benevolent mentor, operating from the disembodied state, perceives that you are stubbornly ignoring the gentle nudges towards a necessary change, perhaps a required course correction in your moral life or a decision related to your personal trials, they must increase the intensity of their mental suggestion. The mentor directs their thought, which is a powerful form of vital cosmic fluid, toward your perispirit. Recall that the perispirit acts as the intermediary, the bridge between the immaterial spirit and the physical body, sensitive to all mental vibrations. When the mentor's benevolent, high-frequency thought is constantly applied to your perispirit, seeking to inspire change, and you, preoccupied with material trivialities, resist, this sustained spiritual pressure translates into the sensation of physical and mental discomfort. It is an effect akin to spiritual static. Your mentor is essentially increasing the volume on their vital warning signal. They are using the natural laws of fluidic action, described in great detail in the Spirit's book and Genesis, to stir your very essence. This internal noise is a call to introspection, a sign that a powerful force of good is seeking to penetrate the material defenses of your self-absorption and intellectual pride. The mentor knows that prolonged comfort can lead to stagnation, and so they create this intentional, persistent disturbance to compel you to seek the root cause of the malaise, forcing your gaze inward rather than allowing you to remain tethered to the fleeting illusions of the external world. Your soul is reacting to the benevolent imposition of a higher, purer vibration upon its own density, and this vibrational disharmony is what you perceive as that unsettling, lingering disquiet. The repeated, inexplicable awakening between the hours of 3 and 5 in the morning is one of the most classic and potent spiritual signals, a phenomenon that ceases to be mere coincidence when viewed through the lens of Kardecian doctrine. It is often rationalized away as sleep cycle disturbance or mild stress, but its regularity and the profound sense of clarity or emotional charge accompanying it suggest a deeper spiritual cause. Kardec teaches that during sleep, the spirit partially emancipates itself from the confines of the physical body. The ties of the perispirit to the material body are loosened, allowing the spirit a degree of freedom to travel, communicate with other spirits, and regain energy and instruction in the spiritual realm, a process detailed in the chapter on emancipation of the soul. This specific window, often termed the sacred hour, corresponds to the time when the physical organism is at its lowest metabolic ebb and the spirit's bonds are most relaxed. The mentor, being disembodied, understands and utilizes this period of heightened spiritual lucidity. When you awaken abruptly, it is often because your spirit, having received a vital instruction, a warning, or an encouragement during its semi-emancipated state, is recalled too quickly back to the body. This rapid re-entry leaves the message, the emotional resonance, and the spiritual energy of the encounter still raw and vibrant in the consciousness. Bypassing the usual filters of the subconscious mind, the mentor orchestrates this brief, sharp awakening because they need the message to register immediately, before the density of waking consciousness fully reasserts itself. It is a deliberate action to ensure that the instruction, which might concern a forthcoming test or trial, a moral lapse to be corrected, or a specific act of charity to be performed, is delivered with maximum impact. This awakening is not intended to disrupt your rest for disruption's sake, but rather to utilize the optimal window of time where the spirit is most receptive, and the rational mind's tendency towards skepticism is at its lowest. If you experience this pattern, it is definitive proof that your mentor is not only actively watching over you, but is employing a conscious, methodical approach to communication, taking advantage of the natural laws that govern the interaction between the two spheres of life. Building upon the previous point, the communication that occurs within that crucial 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. window is not merely auditory or visual. It is a direct energetic transfer, profoundly impactful because it occurs when the filters of logical reasoning, the very apparatus of the ego that hinders spiritual truth, are at their lowest point of resistance. Kardec's methodology insisted that to discern truth from fantasy in spiritual communications, one must apply reason and rigorous control, but the mentor, in their direct communication, is seeking to bypass the often fallible human intellect and speak directly to the spirit's innate moral conscience. When the perispirit is semi-liberated, it acts less as a filter and more as an antenna, capable of receiving the pure mental effluvium, the thought energy, of the superior mentor. The signs that register during this time are thus much clearer than those of the day. They manifest a sudden, undeniable clarity regarding a life-altering decision, the appearance of an emotion so intense it feels like a memory from a past life, or distinct, vivid images and symbols that flash across the mind's eye. This is the mentor engaging in the purest form of magnetic suggestion, not through words that can be misinterpreted, but through the precise communication of thought itself, spirit to spirit. The images and symbols that arise are carefully selected based on your spirit's current level of understanding and moral preparedness, acting as codes that speak to your deep subconscious. For instance, a recurring image of a closed door might signify the end of a trial, while an overwhelming feeling of unconditional peace could be the mentor's direct infusion of fluidic energy to strengthen you for an impending difficulty. The cardinal mistake is to ignore this powerful communication and immediately attempt to return to sleep, allowing the heavy material concerns of the day to rush back in and obscure the message. The recommended action, fully consistent with the method of observation and recording prescribed by Kardec for mediumistic work, is to rise without fighting and immediately transcribe the feelings, thoughts, and images received. This act of externalization fixes the spiritual reality into material record, acknowledging the mentor's presence and strengthening the communication channel through conscious, disciplined effort. This is the opportunity for a philosophical dialogue where the student, the embodied spirit, receives the direct, unedited wisdom necessary for its next leap in evolutionary progress. The fourth sign is the phenomenon of synchronicity, which, far from being random chance, is the mentor's intentional use of the physical world as a sophisticated medium for communication. It begins subtly, an identical specific phrase appearing across three unrelated contexts: a book, a casual conversation, a song lyric, all within a short period. Kardec's teaching on the interaction of the two worlds provides the philosophical framework for understanding this as conscious, benevolent orchestration. The mentor, being a superior spirit, possesses the mental capacity to influence the universal cosmic fluid, the elementary substance from which all matter originates and which serves as the vehicle for thought and will. By directing their thought, they can cause a sympathetic alignment of seemingly random material events. This is not magic, but the application of a higher natural law, a fluidic action upon matter. They are, in essence, subtly adjusting the probabilities of the material world to ensure the message penetrates your skepticism. The repetition is crucial because it overcomes the natural inertia of the embodied spirit's attention. If the message were delivered only once, the rational mind would dismiss it as an outlier. But when it repeats, the pattern demands attention, appealing directly to the logical, observational side of the human intellect, the very faculty Kardec sought to engage. Furthermore, this synchronicity often extends into the realm of your dreams, manifesting as repeating symbols, keys, rivers, or specific colors that hold a personal meaning for your spirit's current stage of development. The mentor favors this method because it is non-intrusive. They are merely using the existing fabric of reality to weave their message. They are not imposing their will, which would violate your free agency. They are placing evidence directly on your path, compelling you to pause and use your reason to decode the pattern. The mentor is essentially utilizing the world as a mirror, reflecting your internal questions back at you, forcing a recognition of the profound interconnectedness of all things, and proving that the spiritual realm is not separated from the material by an impenetrable wall, but by a thin, permeable veil of consciousness. Expanding on the concept of synchronicity, the mentor's choice of communication, relying heavily on energy, symbols, and nonverbal codes, is a deliberate strategy rooted in the fundamental differences between the human ego and the immortal spirit. As Kardec discovered, the greatest obstacle to spiritual truth is often human pride, self-interest, and the tendency of the material mind to twist pure truth to fit personal desires. Therefore, the mentor transmits truth via pure symbolic thought that speaks directly to the moral consciousness, bypassing the intellectual filters that are prone to deception. The universe, in this context, truly speaks the language of energy and correspondences. When sequences of numbers like 111, 444, or 777 appear consistently, they are not random. They are energetic signatures, each carrying a specific vibrational meaning that the mentor knows your spirit will intuitively recognize. These numbers are pure codes, untouched by the ambiguity of human language. Similarly, profound responses found in the sudden, deep resonance of a specific piece of music or the unexpected appearance of a spirit animal are all coded messages. The mentor chooses this symbolic communication because it requires feeling and intuition, faculties of the spirit, to decode rather than just the deductive reasoning of the intellect. It demands that you move beyond the intellectualization of truth and engage in the moral and emotive recognition of it. As taught in the Gospel according to Spiritism, moral law is written on the conscience, and the mentor's message is a deliberate attempt to activate that internal, infallible moral compass. They use the repetition of these codes, the symbol, the phrase, the number, as a persistent, benevolent shout because they recognize the density of human distraction. If the signal is ignored once, it is intensified and presented in a different modality until the student spirit can no longer deny its existence. Your essential task in receiving these codes is not to seek a literal, dictionary-style translation, but to register the emotional and intuitive charge that the code carries. This energy is the true message, providing the vital emotional sustenance and clarity needed for the next step in your spiritual and moral evolution. The mentor is compelling you to abandon the superficiality of material life, and engage with the profound underlying reality that everything, every object, every encounter, every passing thought is connected by the divine intelligent plan. When the subtle, symbolic and nocturnal signs are consistently ignored, the mentor, in their profound commitment to your progress, is sometimes compelled to allow or orchestrate circumstances that result in unforeseen life ruptures. This is the dramatic, jarring sign where stability dissolves. The sudden loss of employment, the inexplicable end of a major relationship, or the wholesale collapse of meticulously laid plans. From a material perspective, this is interpreted as chaos or bad luck. From the spiritual perspective taught by Kardec, it is a necessary accelerated realignment, a dramatic trial designed to prevent stagnation. The core principle at play here is the law of trials and atonement, a central tenet of the Spirit's book. Spirits choose trials before reincarnation to facilitate their purification and progress. When a spirit, once embodied, allows itself to become complacent, distracted by ephemeral pleasures, or trapped in a comfort zone that offers no genuine opportunity for moral growth, the mentor acts with what can only be described as brutal yet necessary charity. They do not cause the suffering, for suffering is generally a consequence of our own moral errors or a chosen trial. Rather, they manipulate the circumstances, the fluidic environment, to ensure that the intended trial, which the embodied spirit had actively avoided or failed to recognize, is brought to the fore. The job that was consuming your time, preventing you from developing charity or intellectual curiosity, is removed. The relationship that fostered dependency but stifled individual moral accountability is severed. The mentor's role is to remove the crutches that prevent the spirit from walking on its own 2 feet, forcing it into a situation where it must utilize its dormant inner resources and make choices based on moral strength rather than material convenience. The profound realization that follows these ruptures, the quiet inner knowing that this needed to happen, is the spirit, momentarily lucid in its pain, recognizing the profound wisdom of its pre-birth choice of trial. The mentor's action is an uncompromising commitment to your soul's progress, demonstrating that the only true, lasting stability is found not in material possessions or external relationships, but in the unshakable foundation of your own moral fortitude and faith in the divine providence. The spiritual mentor views the human comfort zone not as a sanctuary, but often as a well-appointed prison that actively impedes the fundamental law of progress. According to the foundational principles revealed to Kardec, the moral law is paramount, and embedded within it is the necessity for continuous intellectual and moral advancement. When the embodied spirit settles into a pattern of ease, where life demands minimal moral effort and no genuine self-sacrifice, the rate of spiritual evolution grinds to a halt. It is precisely this stagnation that the mentor, acting as an executive agent of the divine plan, cannot permit. The purpose of the mentor's orchestrations, therefore, is not punishment, but disruption designed to accelerate progress. The comfort zone is destroyed because it fosters 2 great enemies of the spirit: attachment and inertia. Attachment ties the spirit to the impermanent matter, hindering its view of the eternal life that awaits, while inertia prevents the application of free will toward moral improvement. The mentor intervenes by systematically removing the external sources of false security: the job, the home, the familiar routine. This forces a complete re-evaluation of values, compelling the spirit to seek happiness and security in its true enduring assets, its moral qualities, its intellectual knowledge, and its direct relationship with God. In the void created by the collapse, the mentor is not absent. They are creating the only environment in which the spirit can truly hear itself and remember its higher objectives. This forced internal retreat, the move away from societal noise and obligation, is essential for the spirit to reconnect with its own essence and, more importantly, to remember the specific difficult trials it chose before re-embodying. The discomfort serves as a reminder of the contractual obligation of progress. The mentor's tough love reveals that the true freedom of the spirit is found not in the absence of hardship, but in the conscious, ethical confrontation of every difficulty, using reason and charity as its guiding lights. This collapse is the mentor's way of saying, the external props are gone. Now you must rely entirely on the eternal strength you have accumulated through past lifetimes. Following the initial rupture, the pain that inevitably ensues is not a sign of the mentor's cruelty, but a direct consequence of the embodied spirit's resistance and deep-seated attachment to the material losses. Kardecian philosophy explains this pain as the friction generated when a higher, purer fluidic energy, the mentor's influence, clashes with the dense, impure fluids clinging to the perispirit as a result of our moral imperfections and material fixations. It is, in essence, a spiritual detoxification. The mentor, in their role as protector, is facilitating a massive, necessary moral and perispiritual cleansing. They are helping to tear down the energetic debris, the crystallized thought forms of selfishness, pride, and vanity that we have allowed to accumulate around our spiritual envelope. This process is terrifying because it feels like the loss of self, but it is, in reality, the purification of the true, immortal self. The pain is the mourning for the illusion of stability and the ego's attachment to things that were never meant to be permanent. During this intense period, the rebuilding phase begins, which is entirely guided by the principles of moral law. The mentor removes the old weak foundations, relationships based on mutual self-interest, careers built on ambition without charity, and creates the space for a new foundation rooted in the spiritual realities: humility, selfless work, and fraternal love. The guiding principle for this rebuilding, as emphasized in the Gospel according to Spiritism, is know thyself. The mentor forces the individual to look at their true weaknesses and strengths, to identify the moral imperfections they must correct. The ultimate goal is the complete spiritual alignment, where the spirit acts in perfect harmony with the universal moral law, using its free will not for self-gratification, but for the elevation of self and others. The mentor is not merely observing, they are actively channeling purifying fluids and inspirational thoughts to support this reconstruction, acting as a constant energetic anchor during the deepest internal chaos. This painful process of spiritual spring cleaning is the necessary preparation for a new and higher cycle of existence, one characterized by profound, unshakable faith and a conscious commitment to the path of perfection. The culmination of the mentor's persistent efforts is often experienced as the profound inner void, a sophisticated spiritual signal that emerges even when, to all outward appearances, the individual has achieved complete material and social success. This is not the depressive void of despair, but the powerful expansive vacuum of spiritual emptiness, an insatisfaction divina that no amount of material acquisition, professional status, or relational comfort can fill. Kardec's work clarifies this phenomenon by emphasizing the spirit's natural innate aspiration toward its true home, the spiritual world, and its destined perfection. The spirit is eternal, and the material world, no matter how pleasurable, is only a temporary, imperfect school. When the embodied spirit focuses exclusively on ephemeral matter, it starves its own immortal essence. The mentor knows that the soul will only truly begin its quest for ultimate truth when the illusions of the world are exposed as insufficient. Therefore, they utilize this void as a primary motivational force. By allowing the material world to fail in its promise of total happiness, the mentor forces the embodied consciousness to recognize that the object of its profound, unquenchable yearning lies outside the realm of the five senses. This emptiness is, in truth, the sacred space being cleared for the entrance of divine light. It is the vacuum created by the absence of moral purpose and fraternal charity, the very qualities that give eternal meaning to existence. The mentor's presence in this phase is often silent, patient, and unwavering. They have executed all the fluidic and synchronistic interventions necessary. Now they wait for the embodied spirit to utilize its free will and consciously choose the correct path. The void serves as the final internal compass, silently pointing toward the moral law written in the spirit's conscience. It is the mentor's final, profound lesson. True, lasting fulfillment is not found in the world, but is generated from within through dedicated moral effort and the practice of genuine charity toward all beings, serving as the ultimate proof that the spirit belongs to God and can only find true peace when aligned with His universal will. The 10th and final sign marks the transition from passive recipient of spiritual suggestion to active, conscious collaborator in one's own evolution. This is the moment of the conscious choice of alignment, the zenith of the mentor's work, which always respects the supreme law of free will. The mentor has guided, alerted, and orchestrated. They have provided the evidence through signs and ruptures, but they cannot and will not force spiritual progress. For progress that is not the result of conscious choice holds no moral merit for the spirit. As the Spirit's book clearly delineates, the inherent moral value of a spirit's action lies in the deliberate exercise of its will for good. Alignment is therefore the conscious, irrevocable decision to discard the spiritual inertia and embrace the path of moral reformation, intellectual growth, and active charity. This choice involves a radical shift in values, the relinquishment of pride for humility, the replacement of selfishness with fraternal love, and the dedication of time, energy, and resources to the service of others. The mentor, having prepared the ground, now stands by, ready to amplify every sincere moral effort. This alignment is facilitated by the qualities that Kardec observed were essential for successful, elevated mediumistic communication: purity of intention, fervent desire for good, and unwavering faith. When the embodied spirit makes this sincere commitment, the energetic channel between them and the mentor clears instantaneously. The communication shifts from subtle signs and jarring disruptions to direct, clear inspiration, the pure thought of the mentor flowing freely and benevolently into the mind of the now receptive disciple. The mentor is no longer needed to alert the individual, but to elevate them, to offer the intellectual knowledge and moral strength required to face the advanced trials that lead to higher perfection. This conscious choice is the final and most powerful sign that the spirit has completed its preparatory work and is now ready to assume its full role as an agent of progress, recognizing that the connection with the mentor is not a passive dependency, but a dynamic, eternal partnership on the infinite path toward God. It is the ultimate expression of spiritual maturity. You have followed the detailed narrative of the 10 undeniable signs, each one illuminated by the profound, rational, and systematic teachings of Allan Kardec's Spiritism. This journey confirms that the persistent feeling of unease, the precise timings of nocturnal awakenings, the symphony of repeating symbols, the painful yet necessary life ruptures, and the ultimate arrival of the inner void are not isolated occurrences. They are interconnected parts of a coherent, benevolent process, meticulously orchestrated by a high intelligence, your spiritual mentor, who is actively working to ensure your immortal spirit fulfills its purpose of intellectual and moral evolution. The entire framework is built upon demonstrable spiritual laws: the interaction of fluids via the perispirit, the emancipation of the soul during sleep, the moral necessity of trials, and the supreme importance of free will. This is not a call to mysticism or blind belief. It is a call to observation, reason, and moral action, exactly as prescribed by Kardec when he moved from being a simple professor to the codifier of the Spiritist doctrine. He taught us to use reason to confront the spiritual manifestations, to test the quality of the spirits by the quality of their teachings, and to understand that the ultimate goal of communication is always moral enlightenment and personal reformation. Your mentor is the living, eternal proof of life beyond matter, serving as an immutable anchor in the face of material instability. Having recognized the full breadth and depth of these signs, you can no longer plead ignorance. The subtle, persistent nudges have been explained as direct fluidic action. The chaos of life has been revealed as necessary realignment, and the vacuum of the soul has been identified as the sacred space awaiting the infusion of higher purpose. The moment for passive waiting is over. Your spiritual journey is real, scientifically and philosophically coherent, and it is now entirely dependent upon your conscious, moral choice to align yourself with the divine guidance you have been so patiently offered. Embrace the knowledge, accept the immense responsibility, and walk forward with the profound certainty that you are not alone, but are protected, guided, and eternally cherished on your path to perfection.